Well, today we have a very special guest. I am excited. We have talked to some fantastic comics on the show, but today we're talking with Keith Robinson. You just saw him recently on the Mark Twain Awards for Kevin Hart, which was really funny. And then, of course, his Netflix special, which is just really great. Um, Keith, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure, really, truly. I mean that to meet you and to talk to you. Congratulations on all the success that you've had.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I need it.
Well, so I learned it's interesting. We're the same age, so you've been at comedy for a very long time. One question I like to ask, and I know it's far removed from you, but when was your first open mic and you tried comedy out? Did you know that you wanted to do it? Was it something that interested you? Because you got quite a bit of success quickly, I feel like, and have helped other comics as well make their way in this crazy world that you guys exist in. It's just so different than anything else.
Right. I remember, man, like it was yesterday. October, no, January, around January 1984, and the Comedy Factory outlet. That was my first time getting on stage. And, you know, I never did drugs like that, but I was addicted from day one. I had to have more and more and more. I felt like I found where I belonged all these years because I was thrown out of, schools, tossed out of church. They actually threw me out of a church, my own uncle's church, for messing with people. You're doing too much. Out. The Navy, out. When I hit comedy, that was it. And they were able, they accepted me. A bunch of comics, a bunch of people trying to be comics, and I was okay with that.
Wow. It is an interesting thing because it's so different than like any other. I mean, I consider it to be an art form, at least in my opinion. It's so different, and if you do it enough, you get addicted to it. If you there's a lot of delusion, but I think in a positive sense because you get up there. Because I just started a few months ago, having done interviewing comics, and I was told by several great people, some of your peers, just try it, and you'll experience just enough delusion and excess success in your mind where you think you did a good job when you probably sucked, but convinced enough that this is something to explore and to do. But I mean, I know you're far removed from the open mic scene, but I always like to ask that question first because I think it's so interesting because the story is the same. You guys do it and you're like, this is it for me. And you just keep going and going and going. Um, and then here you are with a Netflix special. You've helped dozens of other comics. Um,
Yes.
I've seen other interviews with you before where people ask, how do you feel about new comedians? And you come from this generation where it's just so different. Do you get solicited at all at this point by new people, or is your advice to them,
All the time.
don't do it? Is that your advice? Don't do it.
No, no, man. You always got to at least try once,
Yeah.
and you never know. But when I tried it finally, I'm like, man, I gotta do this, man. I have to know it. It was inside of me, and it felt so good. I still remember And I'm happy now because I can't imagine anything else like comedy, you know? That's the whole thing. And once I start doing comedy, I haven't worked a regular job in 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years. Well, yeah, that's right. I got fired out of my shoe job too. They booted me out of that. So everything I've been booted out of, but comedy is right where I belong. You know,
Yeah. It's so interesting. That group of people. Now, I've seen you. You were in. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You did episodes of Crashing, right? You did guest appearance.
yes,
Okay, so I remember that, and it was the Comedy Cellar, I think, is where those scenes took place, and Pete's
yes.
character was, and he comes up to the table, and there's like this hierarchy of comics, which I've found to be true too, even just starting out as an open micer, and you've got other comics who are there to do their time. I learned quickly nobody cares what you're doing. They have no interest in it. They're not gonna they're not gonna that will be nice to you. And they might say, hey, can I give you some advice? So far it's been positive. I'm sure it could change at some point as this journey continues. Um but there are groups that sit together and you kind of like have to be invited into that circle uh because you can't just walk up and go, hey guys, how's it going? Or you could, but it could go very badly for you. I know that sometimes those characters are heightened versions of yourself or exaggerated, but like there's truth to that, right? Where you just have to, there's no cutting the line and you have to do your time, right? In order to be accepted, and so to speak.
yes. I mean, when I brought Kevin Hart and Big J and Kurt Metzger to New York, I mean, Kurt was all over the place. He actually ended up eating some of the Booker's wings from our plate. That's a Booker, and he's like, yeah, harder. She had wings, maybe, what do they call them? That's all cheese.
The blue cheese, yeah.
Well, he started dipping his finger on. I'm saying, Kurt, what are you doing? But, eventually, it's all about the comic being good or bad.
Yeah.
Kurt, Big J, and Kev are all good comics, or one headed that way. So it matters, that matters too. You gotta be funny. If you're not funny, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah, and I think at least when I've learned from other great comics like yourself that I've spoken to, that common theme is, the most annoying question that I could get is, how do I get booked on shows or can I open for you is probably the most annoying thing. Or just this idea of wanting to cut the line and not do your dues, however long that takes. Well, it's interesting because you've done it and you have this Netflix special, which is really funny and you're very just honest and truthful and transparent about your life, your kids, your experiences, having been a two-time survivor of strokes, and you're still at it when it maybe for some could just be like, maybe this is it for me. Um, at this point of your career and you're doing this special, what is your process to figure out what you're going to talk about? Do you write things down? Do you write on stage? What is your method at this point to get this material out, try it, and then package it together for a Netflix special?
Well, I tried as it comes. It come to me. I may be watching some news, reading a book, and watching the silliness of everything. And even in my life, things happen. And I go, oh yeah. Because I just thought about the other day, my grandkids. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not a starting, I'm not a starting grandfather. I come off the bench, you know. The other grandpops are the favorites. So they're the starters. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I'm not a starting grandfather. And that, there's something. So now I have to cultivate that to find the real funny in it. Because there's a lot of bench riding grandparents and bench riding, you know. And so when you get a thought, you think of it, then you see what you can do with it. It may not be nothing, but it may be one of the best jokes you ever read. Well, that's the start of something.
Yeah.
Now they got to turn it into something.
And that could take years. I mean, because
And
there's always the joke is always being tinkered with, and it's really almost like this sort of it's like a magician, you watch them do a trick and you look at it and go, "Oh wow, that looks easy," but like really it's years and years of practice. And almost it's been until recently, I think certain comics now have come out and are sort of revealing their process on how they write and from taking it to paper to the stage and working it out. But for even still, maybe on some levels, it's almost a mystery because that joke is always being worked on, right? Like the way you tell it today might be different tomorrow, perhaps,
right, it's
depending on.
going to be way different. But the concept is going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a spare grandfather. Spare. But I keep on thinking, put more, and I get the perfect word for it, and then I'm in. And once I get that perfect word, I'm good.
I love it. I think that's so interesting. When you were coming up in the game and you were doing the open mics or opening or featuring or hosting, were there other comics then and still that you look up to that inspired you to keep going, or maybe not copied, or maybe you did? I don't know. Like when you were starting to learn how to find your voice and your point of view, uh,
I think
then.
the comics I admired when I was in the comedy community that I'm in was Tony Woods. Tony Woods was so smooth on stage. You go, wow. It seemed like nothing rattled him. You know what I mean? Nothing rattled Tony. He was just up there smooth as can be.
Yeah.
So I looked at him like, wow. Because I'm all over the place. Without a stroke, I may do a cartwheel and a back semi. But Tony was right there, just cool as can be. And you go, all right. He's so cool, it bugged me.
Yeah.
Like this guy is really good, you know. So that was one of the guys. Um, there's a lot of them. I seen Jay Leno at the Comedy Works in Philadelphia around 1985. One of the funniest sets I've ever seen. People don't understand. Jay Leno was a beast,
Yeah.
you know, was a absolute beast. And another guy I've seen, was Sinbad.
Yes.
Now, I've seen Sinbad in 86 at a concert, 86, 87, 88, whatever. When he opened up for Anita Baker and Luther Vandross.
Wow.
And I tell my girlfriend, and say, oh man, they got Sinbad. He's one of those Star Search comics. He's not that funny. And she said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah. Sinbad went on. We laughed from beginning to end. And she said, I thought you said it wasn't funny. I know. But those are the guys that you look at and go, wow,
Yeah.
then they know how to do it. You know what I mean? And that Sinbad, Tony Woods, Jay Leno.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Well, you said something. There were a few comics that came from the Star Search world. And I think obviously we're doing it before and then got that platform and then we're maybe elevated. But I want to hear your thoughts, Keith. I'm interested to know. I always like to ask this because, like, obviously you got started a different way. Everybody gets a different start, but now with all these shows, Last Comic Standing, I hasn't been on for a while, but say like an AGT or one of these types of Star Search shows, who you have guys and gals that have been doing it for a while, but then they get put on this flat platform and then they're catapulted into the world of success, so to speak. And Jerry Seinfeld said something. He's like, you do that, you have a good night, you do good, but you're doing good that night in that room because there's millions of people or thousands of people, but then you got to keep that going. Um, what are your thoughts on that way of doing things? I mean, I think most of the days now, a lot of these folks have been doing it for 5, 10 years, and this is just another opportunity. But do you feel that some people maybe could be set up for false expectations if they do really good, or is it just another avenue now to get known, so to speak?
There's another avenue to get known. But everybody, if given a chance, would do that and fail.
Yeah,
Everybody. Nobody's going to turn down, oh, not me. I'm not ready.
yeah,
I got an article in the Daily News about 5 months in to doing comedy. You know, Daily News Philadelphia Daily News was big in Philadelphia, right? I got a big spread, my dumb hands, my falling, wiggling or whatever. And then from that one article, I said, wait a minute. And the comedy shop at the truck, I showed a guy that. He said, yeah, how much time can you do? I'm like, oh, at least 40 minutes.
wow.
I didn't have 4 good minutes, but
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
still, yeah. So I took it anyway, and I bombed 7 straight shows. But I ain't turning down the opportunity,
yeah,
and I ain't know no matter. But, you know, I was able to pass the information on younger comics to let them think about being ready and being not ready.
yeah,
You have it or don't you?
yeah,
Like Kevin Hart asked me a few years in over when he came to New York, should I do Montreal? And that's the way, man. Everybody's doing Montreal now and getting stuff. Do it. I told him, yeah, go ahead. But before I would go, don't do it. But I seen the fact that he had enough. Go ahead and do it. And he did it. And he got, good stuff out of it.
yeah,
So you can't judge everybody on the same level. There's levels to this thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that was the most important thing to learn. I know for a fact I wasn't ready for the drop or anything else. you know,
yeah. That's funny. Like a lot of people will say, if you say I can do 10, that's probably like five. If you say I can do five, it's probably like three, uh,
Maybe two.
maybe two if you're lucky. Um, and like if an opportunity comes, I think there was another comedian, he said, you know, he's like, who are your favorite comedians? And I told him, he's like, so imagine going into a room and saying you're ready, and then you just eat it, and then you have to go into that green room and face those your heroes of comedy, so to speak. And then a booker is going to see you eat it. So do all the open mics you can do. If you get offered like a few minutes as a guest spot, like say at a brewery show or like a showcase, and you can do that, maybe do that. But, you know, just take your time and enjoy it, which I think is the greatest lesson with anything, really. That's funny you
Well,
tell
yeah,
that
take your
story.
time and enjoy it. Well, you know what's good about it though? I did that same thing one hour before I was ready. Okay. And I did another show up in Wildwood or Ocean City or whatever. I did that and I can hear the comments in the background. This kid sucks. He stinks.
That
You
is,
know what I mean? Well, you go. That's the great thing about comedy. You learn either way. You learn.
yeah, you're gonna learn one way or another.
Yeah, you going to learn. You know, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to learn,
Yeah,
and that's all fun to me. Don't take it too serious. Look, I did it. And I wasn't good because you can't be scared of everything.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like to me, I said it's all in comics. You cannot be good if you're afraid to be bad.
yeah.
You know,
That's great
it's like,
advice.
but it's like you're going to be bad. So what? Fix it up, learn.
Yeah,
You know, all jokes ain't gonna work. Some of you got to scrap.
yeah,
You know, that one ain't working. I tried everything. Well, when I was younger comic, I was holding on to every little thing, but it means nothing. Keep working, fix the joke up, and go back in there.
yeah. And I think that's a good note too. Just any sort of creative venture, you can't be afraid to fail, and you can't worry about what people are going to think about you. Um, And also, when you're an open biker, all the other comics care about is doing their time. They don't care what you're
Yes.
doing necessarily. If you get a laugh, that's cool. But then it's kind of like, where's the laugh coming from? Is it because you just are terrible at it? But I think too, I think Nate Bargatze said you have to have somebody above you that's 3 or 4 years in the game. And then eventually maybe somebody below you that you can mentor at maybe 5, 10 years in. But, it's like you're not going to go to Ray Romano because he hasn't done open mics in like 40 years. But maybe
Uh,
somebody
ah, 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 ah.
like 10 years in, 5 years in, maybe that can sort of mentor you along the way and give you notes, tags, whatever that is going to support you, um, and mentor you in a sense that makes sense to them and to you, right? But
Yes.
like, you know, it's so cool. Well, you've been doing it. You've got the special. Are you? What are you doing now? Are you still doing dates now? Or are you just kind of taking? I know you did the Mark Twain thing. That was obviously a big thing that you did. But what are you working
Right,
on now? What are you up to?
right
Are you?
now, I'm doing publicity
Yeah.
for the special.
Right.
I'll be doing a Tonight Show, um, the Breakfast, the Breakfast Club, and The View.
Nice.
So the 10th Tonight Show, the 11th Breakfast Club, and The View.
Yeah, you're busy. And I'm glad we were
Yeah,
able to do this. Like I said, I've been a fan of yours for a very long time. And I just, it's been cool to watch, obviously you've had success, but to now really get this moniker of a Netflix special. How many tapings did you do for that? Did you just do one or did you do a few? Two.
I had
Okay.
to do too. And I was wondering, will my voice hold up? Will my leg hold up?
Yes.
You know, can I stand for that long? And I did it. I'm like, yay, any victory is just that, a victory, you know. So I'm happy that my voice was very clear. What I made sure was to take my time, you know. But that was the scariest part of this whole stroke thing.
Yeah.
The voice. That's that's the moneymaker.
Yeah.
Can I use my voice again? Can I sit at that table and go back and forth with comics who's still gonna come after me?
Yeah. They're
They're
not
not
going
gonna.
to, in fact, they might come after you harder. I mean, you took a good beating for sure at the Mark Twain Awards, but I think it was that bit where you dropped your cane and then you're like, I need help. And then you threw the cane and then you got the cane back. I mean, that was all really good. I don't know how much of that was riff, how much was planned. And I kind of don't want to know because that was just such a sweet moment, you know. And what
No,
I,
that was I'm not gonna dumb cane down. That was a real moment.
oh, but it was, you played into it.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah.
You learn to,
Yeah, because
and
some of the
that's a
funniest
great
moments come
thing.
from that. Yeah.
Yes, you have to learn everything, man. You go, oh yeah, that's something there. How do I use it? And I knew the guy out of Blackstone, so I can mess with him a little bit. I knew Chris Rock, so I can mess with him because he called me Strokey Robinson. So it was just moments. That's what I like is moments. The good ones enjoy the moments,
Yeah.
and
So
I have.
you really have, and you've just killed it. Continue to kill it and embrace whatever and just don't stop, which I think is inspirational. Um, I love this conversation. This is very cool. I know you have a lot going on. You're a little bit further ahead of me time wise. Um, thank you so much. I can't, I look forward to your appearances and, you know, what you do next. Thanks for the just the all that you do and you get in some classic moments on Crashing. Just those scenes are the best. This all of it. The special is great. One last thing, when you were starting and you were getting into the game, what was maybe some advice that somebody gave to you that has stuck with you this entire time and that you maybe pass on to other people, maybe not comics, but just other people who want to do similar things, that you can say, hey, this is something that's important to me.
Oh, something that was important to me. A lot of it seemed to be from Chris Rock. Chris Rock went like I tell a quick story.
Yeah.
I wanted to audition at the comic strip. 86. I killed, so I thought. So D.F. Sweetler, the comic there, he's like, well, you're okay. I'm like, what? What do you mean okay? He said, well, you just seen Chris Rock. He's a guy. I'm like, what? So now I'm mad at Chris Rock. So I see Chris Rock 2 years later. And and we did a show, TV show. So I'm against Chris Rock. I'm gonna get him. You think you better than me? He never said anything, but I was still mad at the Dale Squealer comment. And the woman asked, the host asked, well, BET, what's your process in Philadelphia? I said, Philadelphia, we work on our jokes to get better. Now I looked at Chris right now. Well, Chris read back and said, well, in New York, we're working for something, for HBO, for tonight's show. And the more he said it, the more I sunk down in my chair. You know what I mean? And that was something I was able to give all of Philadelphia comics. Get your butts out of Philly, come to New York or go to LA and work for something. You don't work aimlessly and just work and work and work. And then, so I learned that from Chris, put in a full year to see if we can do it. So much you learn from Chris. And I
Yeah.
think I'm a year older than him. But, I've learned a lot from listening and watching Chris Rock.
Wow. Very good stuff. Everybody watch Keith Robinson's new special, Different Strokes, on Netflix. Very cool, very funny. I've watched it several times. Your timing, your pacing, your holds, your tags, it's all really funny.
Thank
And
you, man.
100%. And um, one day, I don't know if you'll ever come to Denver, but if you do, I'm there. I got tickets. I'll come watch you play the room or wherever you go. But thank you for your time. It's been an honor chatting with you, and congratulations on all your success. It's inspiring and it's great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.